मनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरोन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमः ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी नित्यनामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna, welcome everyone to our Srimad Bhagavatam overview class. So we are on fourth canto. Yesterday we started this fourth canto in which we discussed that how Maitreya Muni, after being asked by Vidura to explain the further progenies and descendants of Swayambhuva Manu, Maitreya Muni first of all describes the genealogical line of the Akuti. So Swayambhuva Manu had 3 daughters and 2 sons, Akuti, Devahuti and Prasuti, and Priyavrat and Uttanpad. So this whole third canto and fourth canto is the topic of Sarga. So Sarga and Sarga. Fourth canto is basically describing the Sarga. And in this we discussed that Maitreya Muni describes the whole line of descendants, the sons of Akuti when she married to Ruchi, and they had 12 sons. They became the Devatas, Tushitas, and then the descendants of the Devahuti were described. There were 9 daughters Devahuti had from Kardamuni. Then all the descendants were described in this chapters. And then the descendants of Prasuti were described. So Prasuti had 16 daughters. Out of that, 13 were married to Dharma. And one of the daughters, Murti, begot Narayan Rishi from Dharma. And there was a description of Dharma, of Narayan Rishi. And before that, there was a description of Atri and Anusuya. Anusuya was one of the daughters of Devahuti, and how Atri and Anusuya, they begot 3 sons from each of the predominating deities, Lord Shiva, Lord Brahmaji, and Lord Vishnu. The whole story was described yesterday. And then one of the daughters of Prasuti was Swaha. She was married to Agni. Other daughter was Swadha. She was married to all the 4 pitas. And last was Sati. She was married to Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva, although she was married to Lord Shiva, but Maitreya Muni says that she gave up her life, and therefore she had no progeny. So Vidura becomes inquisitive, and he asks, why did Daksha insulted Lord Shiva, and why Daksha, who was so very loving to his daughter Sati, how could he allow Sati to commit suicide, to burn herself? So that was the whole question. And in response to that question, Maitreya Muni describes that Daksha, he was envious of Lord Shiva from the beginning. And once he had arranged a huge sacrifice. In that he had called all the big personalities. Brahmaji was there, and all the predominating deities of the universe were there, including Lord Shiva. So when Daksha entered, everybody got up except Brahma and Shiva. This made Daksha very angry because Lord Shiva was the son-in-law of Daksha, and he was expecting that Lord Shiva also get up. Then Daksha, he started speaking all criticism towards Lord Shiva, and we saw that how Acharyas, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he describes all the criticisms which were told by Daksha, they were actually the praises. And then ultimately, after cursing Lord Shiva that you will not get any part in any of the fruitive sacrifices, he left. And then Lord Shiva also left. And before that, Nandi, he cursed. And on the slide, you can see he said that Daksha, you will become bereft of all the knowledge. You will get a whole goat head and you will continue in this samsara because you have offended a great devotee of the Lord. And then he cursed the Brahmanas also, and then Brahmanas headed by Bhrigu Rishi, he counter cursed, and that was the end of the second chapter. So today we'll begin the third chapter. So to answer Vidura's question, so third chapter is entitled The Talks Between Lord Shiva and Sati. So Vidura's question was, why did Sati give up her body? So Maitreya Muni, he describes the history and the details of the incidences which led to the Sati committing suicide by burning herself. So Maitreya Muni said that the tension which was there between Lord Shiva and Daksha, it continued for a long time. And Srila Prabhupada writes that in the previous chapter it was explained that Vidura, he asked question about the cause of misunderstanding between Daksha and Lord Shiva. And then another question was, why is the strife between Daksha and his son-in-law caused Sati to destroy her body? And the chief reason for Sati's giving up her body was that her father began performing another sacrifice without inviting Lord Shiva. So Daksha, he was very proud because he was appointed as the chief of all the Prajapatis by Lord Brahma. So therefore, Daksha performed another sacrifice called Vajpaya sacrifice, and then followed by this Vajpaya sacrifice, he started another great sacrifice. He called, and that sacrifice was called as Brihaspati Sava. In that, he called all the predominating deities, but he neglected Lord Shiva and his followers. Many great sages, all the Pitris and the Devatas and all their wives, they were invited. But Lord Shiva was not invited. So Sati, when she heard that there is a great sacrifice which is arranged by my father, because she heard from the heavenly denizens as they were flying in the sky in their celestial planes, Sati was hearing all the conversation between the denizens of the heavenly planets. And she saw that all the wives were very well dressed and very putting lots of ornaments, and they were going. So Srila Prabhupada writes here that it appears that the residence of Lord Shiva was not on this planet. That's why Sati could see that all the devatas, they are going to the place of her father. So Daksha was residing on this Bhumandala, and on this Bharatavarsha. In this Bharatvarsha there is a Bhukhanda. So Daksha was residing here, and then in some other planetary system, some other location, Lord Shiva was there on Kailash. So Parvati could see, Sati could see that all the devatas with their wives, they are going. So that's why she became very inquisitive. So because Prabhupada writes, when she saw that all the wives of these devatas were very beautifully dressed, so Sati also wanted to dress similarly and go to attend that great sacrificial ceremony. And Prabhupada writes that this is the natural inclination of a woman. When she sees that others are getting decorated nicely, so the desire also comes in the mind. Now, Sati, she has to take permission of her husband. So she approaches Lord Shiva, and she's trying to convince Lord Shiva in so many ways. She says that, it is your father-in-law sacrifice. All the devatas are going. And if you desire, we may also. So she is very humbly submitting. She could not willingly, freely express that I want to go. So she told Lord Shiva that if you desire to go, then she would also accompany, and then she could also meet her father and all the other relatives. And then she said that, my sisters, they have gone with their husbands. So She was seeing all the sisters, they were coming from various planetary systems. So she says, I also want to decorate myself with the ornaments given to me by my father and go there with you. So Prabhupada writes that it is a woman's nature to want to decorate herself with ornaments and nice dresses and accompany her husband to social functions. So, and Prabhupada writes that women is the basic principle of material enjoyment. That's why she's called as Stri. And the Stri means one who expands the field of enjoyment. And then Prabhupada makes a very interesting point. He says that Lord Shiva was not at least interested in material enjoyment. Therefore, Sati did not say that, she would decorate herself with the ornaments given by her husband. Because Lord Shiva never gave any ornaments to Sati. He was completely absorbed in meditation of the Supreme Lord. But at the time of marriage, her mother and father, they had given some ornaments in dowry. So Sati was telling that I will also decorate myself with the ornaments given by my father and will go and visit. Prabhupada makes a very funny statement here. He said that it was fortunate that for Sati that Lord Shiva did not take the ornaments from his wife and spend them for ganja. Because he says that those who imitate Lord Shiva in smoking ganja exploit everything from household affairs, taking all the wife's properties and ornaments and spend on smoking, intoxication, and other similar activities. So then, as stated before, there was already a tension going on between Lord Shiva and Daksha, and it had been for a considerable time. So therefore, Sati says that I have not gone to meet my parents for a long time. So please allow me and you also come with me. So Lord Shiva may say, okay, do you desire to go there for gifts? So she said, no, I don't want any gifts. I desire to see my mother and all my sisters because they had lots of affection for me. Therefore, I want to visit them. And also, I want to go there to see the best of the sacrifices which are performed by the sages. And then she says, actually, you know the truth. You are the Supreme Lord. You are beyond this material creation. You have no material attachment. But I am a poor woman. I am not conversant with the truths of life. I am attached still to my family, my relatives, my birthplace. So please allow me. Please, you also come with me. We'll go and meet my parents. Prabhupada writes an interesting purport. He says that Sati, she said that I do not have knowledge about self-realization. I am not a self-realized soul like you. Therefore, I am attracted to my birthplace, my parents, my relatives. So therefore, Prabhupada writes, one who has attraction for his birthplace, for his body, and all the other mentioned items, Bhagavatam calls these people like cow and asses. So if somebody is just going to holy place, and if somebody is going to all these very pious pilgrimage places with the intention of just visiting them, just having some bodily attachment, taking bath in the river there, that is Janeshu Abhiggeshu Saeva Gokharaha. They are cows and asses. So Sati, she must have heard all these instructions because Lord Shiva is a pure devotee of the Lord. And he must have spoken this Bhagavatam and all this philosophical details for a long time. But Sati, being a woman, she still had some material affection, material attachment was there. So therefore, in the purport, Prabhupada talks about the association with opposite gender and association of womenizers. You should be very, very careful in associating with them. It is better. Scriptures are very extreme when it comes to association. Scriptures say that it is better to live in a cage full of snakes than to associate with the materialists. Because the association of materialists are very, very dangerous. It's very, very dangerous. It can destroy our propensity to serve Krishna. Nishkanchanasya bhagavad bhajanonmukhasya param param jigimasor bhavasagarasya sandarshanam vishayna matayoshitamcha ha hanta hanta vishbhakshanatopya sadhu. Whoever is on the progressive path of liberation, nishkinchanasya bhagavad bhajan unmukha, is on the path of bhagavad bhajan. He wants to cross this ocean of material existence. For this person, sandarshanam vishayinam, to associate with the womanizer and opposite gender is very, very dangerous. And then Prabhupada writes that this association is so very powerful. Association with opposite gender, especially for men, association with women is so very powerful that even great kings, they have become pet dogs in the hands of women. Yoshit Krida Mrigeshu. And he's quoting this verse from Kapila Dev's instructions to Mother Devahuti. So there he says that actually great kings, they become just like play dolls in the hands of women. Balam me maya ya pashya strimaya jaino disham ya karoti padakrantan bhuve jambrena kevalam. Just see, O my mother, just see the mighty strength of my maya in the form of a woman. Even great conquerors, they become like pet dogs, and the women, when there's these great kings, they enter the inner chambers, they become like a pet dogs in the hands of their wives, and the wives, they keep them under their heels. So therefore Prabhupada writes in detail about this association with opposite gender and how it is very, very disturbing and very, very contaminating. So of course, when it is talked about women, for women man, women, and for women man. So then Sati is telling that not only my relatives but other ornamented women, they are also joining. Everybody from all over the universe, they are coming to attend, they are going to attend this sacrificial ceremony. And this festivity is so very visible in the sky. I can see so many planes which are coming. All the devatas and all the higher planetary system denizens and residents, they were coming to attend this festival, this sacrificial ceremony. Sati is saying, you are Shitikantha. Shitikantha means you are blue-throated. So she's saying that by drinking poison, you showed kindness to everyone. But please show kindness to me also. I'm your wife. Please show kindness to me. Allow me, please, to meet my parents. And then she says, how can a daughter be undisturbed hearing of a festive event at the father's house? Lord Shiva may say, but you have not been invited. How can we go? Daksha, your father, did not invite us. So therefore we cannot go. Sati says, actually, there is no harm in going to a house of a friend, husband, guru, father, even without invitation. So Lord Shiva said, okay, if you want to go, still, because of my request, you accept, you are a martya and can do anything what is normally not done. So Lord Shiva, Sati is saying like that. You are a supreme Lord, you can do anything. You are known to be merciful to all the living entities. Please show the kindness to me also. Please oblige me, because you have accepted me as a half of your body. So all these requests were made by Sati. Now Lord Shiva starts speaking. Lord Shiva, he smiled slightly, while remembering Daksha's harsh words. Prabhupada writes that although Lord Shiva remembered the harsh words of Daksha when he spoke at the sacrificial ceremony, he was very, very sorry at heart. Although to please his wife, he smiled externally. So this is the symptom of a liberated soul. He will always maintain mental equilibrium even in happiness and distress. Samya priya priyo tulya, tulya mitrari pakshayo, man apamanayo tulya. So this pure devotees of the Lord who are liberated souls, they are not disturbed by the material contamination. Chakravarti Thakur writes that, how can sharp words of Daksha pierce the heart of Shiva, who is self-realized? So Shiva is Atmaram, he is a pure devotee. How can Lord Shiva get affected by the harsh words of Daksha. He says that actually Shiva is the Supreme Lord. He is certainly self-satisfied, but because he is the predominating deity of Tamoguna, he is related to Tamoguna. Sometimes illusion, lamentation, attachment, and hatred also manifest in him. So that is the power of this Tamoguna. And then he writes, what is the difference between the pleasure and pain of the spiritual world and the material world? So the pleasures and the pain of the material world is very, very temporary. But even the pains of the spiritual world, they are absolute. In the spiritual world, even if a devotee is experiencing pain, that is a source of pleasure. Tomara sevaya dukkha hoye jata seyo to parama sukha seva sukha dukkha parama sampada nashaye avidya dukkha. Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes, Tomara sevaya dukkha hoye. Whatever pains I am having in your service, O my Lord, they are the sources of pleasure. Seva sukha dukkha. The seva dukkha is the parama sampada. It is the biggest treasure for a devotee because it destroys the avidya, destroys the ignorance, which is the root cause of bondage in this material world. That is what happens when a living entity comes in this world. First of all, he becomes ignorant. We discussed in the second canto that Brahmaji first created these 5 types of ignorance. And then with this ignorance, Brahmaji, in the third canto, and Brahmaji covered this living entity by these ignorance. He forgot his eternal identity, he started identifying with the body, and because his desires were not fulfilled, he suffered anger. So this ignorance is there because somebody is in this material world. But for liberated souls, the dukkha does not matter because the dukkha also becomes the cause of remembrance. That's why Kunti Maharani, she's saying, please give more and more miseries. Vipada santuta shashvat tatra tatra jagat guru naivaratya bidhatum vai tvama kinchana gochara. Bhavato darshanam etsad apunar bhav darshanam. If you come, if miseries will come, you will come again. So therefore, let the miseries come again and again. So Chakravarti Thakur writes that one may feel sorry that in the absolute world, the manifestation of so-called pain is always full of bliss. So in the spiritual world, even the Supreme Lord, when Krishna, he saw that Mother Yashoda is carrying a stick in her hand, he started crying. Rudantam muhuranetra yugmam rijantam karamboja yugmena shatanka netram. He started crying. So although Krishna is crying externally, but this is the way he is reciprocating with his devotees. Because when the devotees, they are in miserable condition, they remember Krishna. Iti nandadayo gopa Krishna Rama katha muda kuruvanto ramamanasya navindan bhavavedana. And when devotees, they remember Krishna, they are not disturbed by the miseries of this world. So miseries will come in the life of devotees. Sharira, manasa, divya, vayyase, yecha manusha, bhautika cha katham klesha, badhante hari samshraya. So the hari samshraya, the surrendered devotees of the Lord, they don't suffer any of the miseries arising from the body, sharira, manasa, mind, divya means supernatural powers, Vayyase, so Maitreya is telling to Vidura, Vidura is Vayyase, son of Vyasadeva. O Vayyase, O Vidura, the devotees of the Lord, they do not get disturbed. Badhante na. They do not get disturbed by the miseries given by the body, mind, supernatural powers, manusha, other humans, bhautika, other living entities. Because they are completely absorbed in Krishna. So in this way, Lord Shiva is now answering. He's saying that although he is feeling lots of pain in the heart because of the harsh words of Daksha, he smiled externally and he said that it is true that one could go to a friend's home uninvited, but there is one condition, provided he does not find fault with the guest and become angry towards the guest. If that is the case, then one can go. So therefore, Prabhupada writes that Lord Shiva could see that, as soon as Sati reaches her house, Daksha will not welcome her properly and she'll become very, very angry and she may leave her body. So Sati may say, but my father will not find faults as he has a great wisdom. So that, because Sati, she knew that my father is the greatest of the personalities in this whole universe, is one of the powerful sons of Brahmaji. He has all the wisdom given by Brahmaji. Why he will find fault? So then Lord Shiva speaks a very, very powerful verse. Vidya tapo vitta vapu vayo kulai satam gune sadvira sattametara smritau hatayam hritamana durdrisha sabdhana pashyanti hidhama bhuyasa. He says that there are so many qualities which may be present in a proud person. Vidya, knowledge; tapaha, austerity; vitta, wealth; vapu, beautiful body; vaya, youthful; kulai, high birth; satam gune. Although these 6 are the saintly qualities, these are qualities of a saintly people. But asattametaraha. But if these people, they manifest these qualities, if they manifest in people who are not great souls, what happens? Smritau hatayam. They lose all their good sense. Bhrit man durdrisha. And they become blind due to pride. So if somebody possesses these 6 qualities, vidya, vapu, vidya, vayo, tapo, vitta, vapu, vaya, kula. All these are very, very powerful, attractive qualities. If the person is not a great soul and he develops these qualities, what will happen? He will become proud. And because of the pride, he will become blinded. Madandha, kamandha, mohandha, dhanandha. He will become pride because of the wealth and all these qualities. He will become blind by this. He will become madandha. Madandha means he will become blind because of all this intoxication of the qualities. Similarly, kamandha, people become blinded by lust. Mohand, by illusion. So therefore, Lord Shiva is saying, smrito hatayam bhritamana durdrisha. They become blind due to pride. And therefore, stabdhan pashyanti hidhama bhuyasam. And therefore, pride people cannot see the glories of the great personalities. You are saying that your father is a very, very knowledgeable person. He has wisdom. But because he is proud of his qualities, he will not be able to see the good in other great souls. He'll find faults. So therefore, in one of the verses, Krishna is telling to Uddhava, he says, Janma karma vayo rupa vidya aishwarya dhanadibi yadi yasya na bhavet sanbha tatrayam mad anugrahat. He says, people in this world, when they have janma, aishwarya, vayo, rupa, vidya, aishwarya, janma, karma, vayo, rupa, vidya, aishwarya and dhana. These are the 7 things which are very, very attractive. High birth, high level of fruitive activities, youthfulness, beautifulness, knowledge, opulences and wealth. Dhanadibi and others. Yadi yasya na bhavet stambhaha. If somebody is not becoming proud, even after having all these things, you should understand, O Uddhava, this person has achieved my mercy. Tatrayam mad anugrahat. So therefore, the corollary is, if somebody becomes, if somebody gets all these qualities and he is not proud, that means he has received mercy of the Lord. So therefore, by the mercy of without mercy of the Lord, if somebody gets these qualities, he'll be bound to become proud. So these are the very, very attractive things everybody wants in this world. People are after janma, karma, vayo, rupa, vidya, aishwarya and dhana. As Lord Shiva is also saying, vidya, tapo, vitta, vapu, vaya and kula. If somebody is not a devotee of the Lord, if somebody is not a humble, surrendered servant of the Lord, he will be proud. So therefore, Krishna is saying, Tatra yadi yasya na bhavet stambha. If somebody is not becoming proud, you should understand that he has attained my mercy. Just like all the Pandavas, they were the kings and the rulers of whole Bhumandala. But still, Apipala Dharma Raja Pitrivat Ranjayan Praja Nispriya Sarva Kamebhyo Krishna Padanusevaya. Still, he was completely absorbed in the thoughts of Krishna. He was taking care of all the citizens just like his own children. As Kunti Maran also says, Janma Aishwarya Shruta Shribhir Edamanam Madappuman Nayavaharatya Bidhatum Vai Twama Kinchana Gochara. So, if somebody wants to approach Krishna, one should not become proud. And if somebody becomes proud, it is very difficult for him to practice bhakti. Trinadapi sunichena tarorapi sahishnuna amanina manadena kirtaniya sadahari. In that humble consciousness, giving all respects to others, expecting none in return, becoming more humble than the blade of grass, more tolerant than a tree. In that consciousness, one can chant the holy names always. Prabhupada in the purport, he writes that milk is although very nice, but when the milk is touched by the serpent, it becomes poisonous. So therefore, and he writes that although Sati was very, very dear daughter of Daksha, but it is observed that when tigers, although they are kind to their cubs, but it is known that sometimes the tigers eat their own cubs. Similarly, a malicious person who is proud of his qualities and the wealth, he should not be trusted because they are always unsteady. Yasyaste bhakti bhagavati yakinchana sarvair gunais tatra samasate suraha harao bhaktasya kuto mahadguna manorathena sati dhavato bahi. So a person who is not a devotee of Krishna, even if he manifests all the good qualities, it is just a matter of time. When the problems will come, when the temptations will come, it will be very difficult for that person to maintain his good qualities. So then, hearing this, Sati may say, but even the low-minded people have affection for their children. Lord Shiva says in the next verse, yes, that is there. But one should not go to anyone's house, even if he is a father, if a person is disturbed in mind and looks at the guest with angry eyes. Even if somebody is a father, we should not go to the father's house if he is disturbed and he is angry. Sati may say, but I will tolerate whatever my father speaks. I'll be tolerant. So all this conversation is given by acharyas. What is the background thought conversation going on? So it is a series of verses spoken by Lord Shiva. In between, while Lord Shiva is speaking a particular verse, is told by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So he says that now Sati may be thinking that I will be tolerant. Even if my father accuses me, I will tolerate. Lord Shiva says that you are speaking like this now. But one suffers more due to harsh words of the relatives than due to harsh words of the enemy, sharp arrows of the enemy. So therefore, he is saying to Sati that you will not be able to tolerate. You are saying you will tolerate, but you will not be able to tolerate. Because the pain which is inflicted by the enemy, it is natural. And although one gets hurt, he can bear that pain. But if somebody who is a near and dear one, he speaks harsh words, it is very, very difficult to tolerate. One may commit suicide also. We heard the story of Viduraji in the third canto in the beginning. When Duryodhana, he spoke harshly. Vidura had spent his whole life taking care of all the Kuru dynasty. And Duryodhana, he told, who has kept this son of a kept mistress? Just throw him out. Only reward I am giving you is I am leaving you with your breath. Swayam dhanurdvar nidhaya mana bhratu pura marma sutani topi saitthamatyulban karnabanair gatavyathoyad urumana yanaha. He immediately gave up his bow and arrow kept at the door of the palace, and he left because his heart was pierced by the sharp arrows which had entered the ears. They were shot by the Duryodhana. So now, when Lord Shiva said that, Sati said, I will go alone. You need not come, I'll go alone. So, expecting this answer, Lord Shiva says, okay, even if you go alone, although you are a favorite of Daksha, you will not be honored at his house because of your connection with me. Because you are connected to me, you are thinking you will go alone, you will still be dishonored, you will not be respected. Then Sati becomes in the mind, all this is going on in the mind of Sati. She is becoming angry. She says that you are speaking like this because you are somewhat hostile towards my father. I think you have some ill feelings towards my father. That's why you are speaking like this. Denying this, Lord Shiva swears. He says that, Daksha is envious and he continuously hates me. And he has manifested his hatred many times. And then he says that actually one who is conducted by false ego, one who has false ego, one who has envy, he is distressed both mentally and sensually. He cannot tolerate the respect given to self-realized people, and therefore he envies them. So Srimad Thakur writes that, Daksha, he was materially so very powerful, but still he was always envious of Lord Shiva because Lord Shiva was the predominating deity of this whole universe as a mode of ignorance, and he was the in charge of annihilation. He was the qualitative incarnation of Supreme Lord. He was the Guna avatar. And because of this high position of Lord Shiva, Daksha was always envious with Lord Shiva. And then Lord Shiva says this, "O Sati, if you do not believe this, whatever I am saying, you sit in meditation." And then he says, you contact Supreme Lord who is there in your heart. You go into the Samadhi for a moment. And you ask the Supreme Lord himself about my good and bad qualities. Okay, then after hearing all that, Sati, she becomes a little pacified. In mind. Still, she has not spoken anything. It is all going in her mind. So then Chakravarti Thakur says that now what Sati is thinking on hearing this statement of Lord Shiva, she is thinking, okay, I believe that you do not hate Lord Shiva. However, he was your father-in-law. You would have risen from the seat to respect him. What is the problem? उठ जाते तो क्या problem हो जाता, So she was saying like this. He is your ultimately father-in-law. Why you did not get up? So Lord Shiva says, that is not my fault. Actually, I was respecting the super soul. And he says that elevated people, they offer respects to the super soul within the body and not to the person who identifies with the body. I was respecting the super soul. Chakravarti Thakur writes that actually, Lord Shiva, he was absorbed in the meditation on the lotus feet of the Lord. And therefore, actually, when he did not look at Daksha, actually he was respecting Daksha. So saying like this. Now, Sati speaks another thing. She is thinking another thing. He says, you are saying I was in Samadhi. How could you be in Samadhi at that time? उसी समय तुमको समाधि में जाना था आपको. So she becomes angry. How could you be in Samadhi at that time? Lord Shiva says, Baba, that is not in my hand. See, Lord is not dependent on me. I am dependent on Lord. I cannot make a rule when the Lord will appear. He appeared in my mind, so I was absorbed in him. What can I do? So then he speaks this very wonderful verse. Satyam vishuddham vasudeva shabditam yad iyate tatra puman apavritah satve cha tasmin bhagavan vasudevo hiyadhokshajo me namasa vidhiyate. He says that Supreme Lord whom I was taking darshan of, he is pure consciousness. Sattvam vishuddham. And who is that? He is called Vasudeva Shabditam. He is called Supreme Lord Vasudev. And Yad iyate tatra puman apavritha. That Lord, He appears in my heart without any coverings. He is pure. Therefore, in that pure consciousness, Sattvecha Tasmin Bhagavan Vasudevo, in that pure consciousness, I am always engaged in meditating on that Lord Vasudeva. And Prabhupada writes a huge purport to this verse. This is 23rd verse of the 3rd chapter. Very huge verse, huge purport Prabhupada writes. And he elaborates in great detail that person who is fully Krishna conscious, he is called Shuddha Sattva. That Shuddha Sattva is called Vasudeva Tattva, Vasudeva Shabditam. And then he says, only way to get situated on this Shuddha Sattva platform is the practice of devotional service. Mam chayo avyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatityaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. Only by the process of bhakti one can transcend these three modes of material existence and become situated in the Brahman platform. And then he quotes Jiva Goswami. He says that Jiva Goswami, he has very nicely described this Vasudeva Tattva. What is this Vasudeva Tattva? He says that, many times we add this Ashtottar Shat 108. He says that actually Ashtottar Shat is added to the name of the spiritual matter to indicate that one who is within the Shuddha Sattva. So anybody cannot add this Ashtottar Shat in front of his name. Only a pure devotee should be entitled with this Ashtottar Shat. So after speaking all these things, Lord Shiva says, okay, please don't go. You should not go to see your father, although he is the giver of your body, but because he is envious of me, he will not respect you. He'll speak cruel words, and it will be very, very disastrous for you. If you go there, you will be humiliated. And when a most respected person is humiliated by a relative, it is equal to death. So that is the end of the 3rd chapter. Then after that, the 4th chapter starts. It is entitled as Sati quits her body. So after Lord Shiva, he spoke so many words, so many different arguments. And then after that, Shiva became silent. Sati is now in full anxiety. Sati, she could not disobey the order of her husband. At the same time, she had the intense desire to go to her father's place. So she was pacing back and forth in the room. And she was so angry. Maitreya Muni says that she was so angry. She looked at Lord Shiva in such angry eyes as if she is about to burn Lord Shiva in anger. Pradhakshyati. She was very angry because Lord Shiva did not allow her to go, did not give permission. And then ultimately she started crying. Prabhupada writes, since Lord Shiva could not be persuaded to give permission, Sati took shelter of the woman's last weapon, crying, which forces her husband to agree to the proposal of his wife. So therefore, Chakravarti Thakur writes that in the presence of her desire to see her relatives and the fear of her husband, she was fearful of Lord Shiva. And she was fearful that if I disobey my husband, he'll become displeased with me. But she had the desire to go to her relatives also. Of these two things, her desire to meet her relatives was stronger and the fear of her husband was weaker. So then Sati, she was very bewildered. She was tormented by these extreme situations, emotions of anger and lamentation. She was very, very disturbed. And then in a womanly nature, it is written, her intelligence was bewildered by the womanly nature. And what is that womanly nature? She was attached to her relatives. She wanted to go and meet her fathers and the sisters. So Sati, she left Shiva. And then Chakravarti Thakur writes that actually she walked very fast. She traveled very quickly so that she knew that if I walk slowly, Lord Shiva will stop me. So she started walking very fast. And all the followers of Lord Shiva, they became very alarmed. Oh goddess, our supreme mistress is going alone. So all the Shiva's followers, they also followed because they could understand Lord Shiva's desire. Lord Shiva, he did not want Sati to go alone. All the attendants of Lord Shiva, they followed. Thousands of the attendants of Lord Shiva, they followed, including, it is described, Maniman and Mother. So Sati, she was made to sit on Nandi, and then she was given her pet bird called Sarika. And then she was given a mirror and the umbrella and the fan and the garland, everything was given to her. And then there was a huge procession towards the palace of Daksha where this sacrificial ceremony was going on. Now, Sati, she reaches the palace of Daksha. And when she reached this sacrificial arena, she saw that so many great personalities had assembled. All the directors of the universe were there. And when she reached there, nobody received Sati properly because of the fear of Daksha. Everybody knew the enmity between Daksha and Lord Shiva. So nobody welcomed Sati properly. But the mother of Sati, Prasuti, and the sisters, they all came and they embraced Sati and welcomed Sati, and they were crying tears of affection and love. And then when Sati, she saw that in the oblations, she was hearing all the sacrificial mantras, oblation mantras. She saw that every mantra was offered to all the devatas, but there was no oblation given to Lord Shiva. So in previous purport, Prabhupada writes that all the mothers and the sisters, they welcomed Sati. This shows that women as a class, they are very soft-hearted. Their natural love and affection cannot be checked by artificial means. In another purport, Prabhupada writes that actually, although women by their nature, they are emotional, but that emotion is very, very conducive to bring them close to Krishna consciousness. That's why in any festival, in any spiritual program, we find that more women they attend than men. And therefore, this simplicity of acceptance of Lord's authority is more effective than showy, insincere religious fervor. That's what Prabhupada writes. Then Sati, when she observed that there was no mantra which was offered for the Supreme Lord, for her Lord Shiva, she became very angry. She did not accept any of the gifts given by her mothers and the daughters, and she was not at least happy because of that. And because her father, Daksha, did not even look at her, he did not come even to welcome her. Prabhupada writes a very interesting purport. He says that people, they are so much attached to the bodily relationships. Oh, this is my friend and brother and sister and my in-laws. He writes that bodily relations, they are very, very transient. Even though one may be very affectionately attached to somebody in a bodily relationship, but if there is slight provocation, all this affection is gone, it terminates into enmity. And personally, it is seen, practically we can see in this world, brothers and sisters, they have quarrels over the, properties issues, and so many things are happening. All this intimacy is gone, brothers, and after so many things are happening. So that's how this material relationship, although it is so very, very, very intimate, but still a little, discomfort and little insult to the ego destroys all the relationships. Sati became very angry. She very angrily looked at Daksha as if she will burn Daksha. Now, Sati, she condemns all the sacrifice which was being conducted, and then seeing her anger, because she was very angry, all the followers of Lord Shiva, they got up. All the ghosts and hobgoblins who had come, they got up and they were about to kill Daksha. But Sati, because of her command, she prevented the ghosts to attack Daksha. And then, being very, very sorrowful and very, very angry, she started condemning this sacrificial ceremony. Prabhupada writes that actually sacrifices should be meant for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. Ata pumbhir dvijasreshta varnashram vibhagasha svanishchitasya dharmasya samsiddhir haritoshanam. Haritoshanam should be the goal of all the rules and regulations of all the rituals. Varnashrama acharvata purushena parapuman vishnu aradhyate pantha na anyat tattosha karanam. All the rules and regulations which are mentioned in the Varnashrama, they are meant for Vishnu aradhyate pantha. Gyarthat karmano anyatra loko ayam karma bandhanaha. Yajna should be meant to perform to please the Supreme Lord. And then Prabhupada writes, one who has developed love for Lord Vishnu, naturally he will respect the devotees of Lord Vishnu. And Lord Shiva is Vaishnavanam yatha Shambhu. So because Daksha, he was so very materialistic, he had no good qualities. He had no good qualities. Daksha was, he had no spiritual qualities. He was completely material. All his sacrificial ceremonies was for one thing, to put Lord Shiva down. That's why he did not call Lord Shiva. So therefore, because he was completely a materialistic devotee, he had only one goal. He was envious of Lord Shiva. He wanted to increase his position. He was so very proud. And Prabhupada writes that if somebody is offending a Vaishnava, one should not sit quiet. Krodha bhakta dveshi jane. So therefore, what Sati is doing, it is perfectly right. One should not sit quietly when you see that one of the devotees is criticized. Krodha bhakta dveshi jane. And he quotes the story where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he came to know that Jagai Madhai, they have insulted and tried, they have hurt Nityanand Prabhu, he became very, very angry towards them. So then after that, Sati, she starts speaking. And she says that who except you can hate Lord Shiva? Lord Shiva is the supreme personality. There is no superior to the Lord in this whole world. Nobody is superior. He is dear to everyone. Who but you can become inimical to Lord Shiva? My Lord Shiva is most beloved of everyone. Only you can only hate Lord Shiva. He is the soul of all the beings. He is without any enmity. And then she says, this is the verse. She says that she is telling who is a sadhu and who is a asadhu. So sadhu means the person. So this verse says, Doshan pareshan hi guneshu sadho grananti kechin na bhavadrisho dvija gunamsha falgun bahuli krishnavo mahattamasteshu avidad bhavanagam. So she's saying that Doshan pareshan. So devotees like Lord Shiva, they do not find fault in anyone. Although there may be little fault in somebody, doshan, even if there is some fault in a person, the devotees, sadhus like Lord Shiva, they neglect that fault. But those who are asadhus, even if they find little fault, they magnify it. And then Chakravarti Thakur writes in detail the levels of sadhu and levels of asadhu, as you can see in the slide. So who is a sadhu? And he says there is sadhu, mahattara, mahattama and ati mahattama sadhu. So who is a sadhu? Sadhu is one who accepts even faults in others, since the faults can eventually be transformed into good qualities. There may be fault, everybody has faults. Who does not have fault in this world? Kalair doshanidhi rajan. What is a big thing one has done if somebody has found one fault in somebody? There's no big deal. Because this Kali Yuga is full of faults. Everybody has faults. So sadhu, he accepts that faults. Okay, no problem, this person has faults, but in due course of time, he will, transform his faults, will become good qualities. Who is a mahattara? Mahattara person, he overlooks the faults and he sees the good qualities. So sadhu just accepts the faults and thinks that okay, good qualities will manifest. Even higher is mahattara. He sees the good qualities. And mahattama means he takes the small good quality and magnifies them, not seeing other faults. Who is ati mahattama? Ati mahattama is a person, he sees the good qualities in others even when there is none, even when there are no good qualities, still this sadhu will see good qualities. He'll connect that person to a part and parcel of Supreme Lord. And who is a asadhu? Asadhu means he thinks that someone's good qualities will turn into faults. Even if somebody displays good qualities, says, "Oh, all this is external, bogus. He cannot have good qualities. All this will become faulty in some time." Asadhutar means he sees only faults, overlooking all the good qualities. Asadhutam, he takes small faults and magnifies them, seeing no good qualities at all. He magnifies those faults. And Ati Asadhutam is that person, he sees only faults in others, even when there are no faults. Even if somebody has no faults, he'll see only faults, So that's how a devotee should try to become sadhu, and gradually should try to develop qualities of Mahattara sadhu, Mahattama sadhu, and Ati Mahattama sadhu. Because Krishna is himself Adoshadarshi. He never likes to see faults in his devotees. He is pure. He is himself pure, and he wants others to see only pure qualities. He is called Adoshadarshi. And even if somebody does some in this world, if somebody does small good thing, he'll speak a lot. Arey, I have helped this person so much. And if somebody does, a very wrong thing, big wrong thing, he will not talk about it. But Lord Krishna is such a wonderful personality. Kinchit karoti uropiyat swadattam surit kritam phalgopi bhurikari mayopanitam pratukaikamushtim pratyagrahita priti yuto mahatma. So Sudama is thinking, Kinchit karoti uropi. Even if the devotee of the Lord does very small thing for the Lord, Lord Krishna says, "Oh, my devotee has done such a big thing for me. And I brought a small 2 handfuls of chipped rice for my Lord." And he became so happy, so overwhelmed. Surit kritam phalgopi bhurikari. If devotee does a small thing, he magnifies it. And even if he does something huge, he says, "I have not done nothing." Sudama brought only few handfuls of chipped rice. And Lord Krishna was so very happy. He thought, "Oh my God, my devotee, whatever he had given me everything." So Lord Krishna was thinking, what can I give him? So why it is described that while Lord Krishna, he gave Sudama all the opulence, in the background, he did not give him directly. Because Lord Krishna was feeling very ashamed. He was thinking, "Oh, my devotee Sudama gave me everything. What can I give? I am the Supreme Lord, so whatever I'll give, it is very little for me. So therefore, I cannot do much." So that is our Supreme Lord Krishna is so very great. Priti Yuto Mahatma. He is such a great personality. So that's how a devotee should try to at least start seeing good things in others and avoid faults in others. And then Sati, she continues. She says that, materialists, they criticize devotees. And, that's why they'll be diminished from the dust, by the dust from the lotus feet of the devotees. Generally, if somebody puts the dust of the devotees from the head, he becomes very advanced and liberated. But if he offends the devotee, that same dust will destroy the devotee. Mahiyasam pad rajo bhishekam, Prabhupada quotes this. And we have seen that if somebody offends the devotees of the Lord, there are so many examples in the scriptures given. Just like in Chaitanya Charitamrita, there is a story about a person called Gopal Chapal. When there was a debate going on between Haridas Thakur and all the Brahmanas, Haridas Thakur said, power of holy name is such that just by Nama Bhas one can get liberation. Gopal Chapal became so angry. He said, "How is this possible? Not possible. You are equating Nama Bhas as only Nama Bhas to give a highest stage of liberation. If you are false, your nose will fall off." And in due course of time, he counteracted leprosy, and Gopal Chapal, he became deformed. We hear the story of Ramchandra Khan. He wanted to criticize and defame Haridas Thakur. He sent this prostitute, and ultimately prostitute was liberated. She became pure devotee, and because of the offense, Ramchandra Khan, he was beaten, he lost everything, and his whole village got destroyed. That is the power of Vaishnava Aparad. So now, after telling all this to Daksha, now Sati, being a chaste wife, she starts counteracting every statement which Daksha had told, many years back in the Daksha Yagya, in the first chapter, second chapter, which we discussed. Daksha had told that Lord Shiva is inauspicious. Sati is saying, you have called my husband great Lord Shiva is inauspicious, but is supremely auspicious. Name of Lord Shiva purifies all the sinful activities. Nobody can disobey the order of Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva's fame is pure, Pavitra Kirti. So he is supremely pure. You are talking about Lord Shiva to be inauspicious. His lotus feet are sought after by great demigods. Both materialists and transcendentalists, they take shelter of the lotus feet of Lord Shiva, my husband. You are calling him inauspicious. Do you think that, personalities like Brahma, they will offer respect to Lord Shiva, if he is inauspicious? Even Brahma offers respects to my husband, Lord Shiva. And you are thinking that my husband, because he is covering his body with all the crematorium ashes, he has a garland of skulls, and he has all the, bad habits, he has a matted hair. What do you think? In spite of all these inauspicious qualities, will personalities like Brahma honor him? But they honor him, they fall at the feet of my husband, they offer him garlands of flowers. And who are you to tell that my husband is inauspicious? And then Sati, she was very strong. She continues. She says that and then Maitreya Muni says that since Sati was a chaste woman, and for it is a duty of a chaste wife to protect the honor of the husband. So Lord Shiva was such an elevated personality. So Sati, she was not just having some sentiments. Okay, what can I do? But I know my husband is great. She's presenting all the facts. How my husband is the greatest personality. She says that, Daksha may say that, why are you criticizing me? I am a Brahmana. I am a greatest personality. I am worshipped by whole world. I am worshipped by, and I am your father also. And you are not seeing my good qualities. You are criticizing me. Sati says, Arey Baba, what to speak of criticizing you? I have committed a great offense because I have committed a great offense to Lord Shiva. I should have killed you. I'm just speaking words. I'm just speaking harsh words. I should have killed you because you offended Lord Shiva. And then she speaks that if somebody is blaspheming the Vaishnavas, what he should do? He said 3 things. First, she says 2 things. One should block one's ear and leave the place immediately if one is unable to punish that offender. Second, one should cut his tongue and kill himself. Give up one's own life as an atonement of hearing the criticism. Hearing the criticism is so very dangerous. So she's saying if somebody hears the criticism of Vaishnava, either should leave that place immediately or cut off the tongue of that person, kill him, and give up one's own life. Because the offense of hearing the blasphemy is so great. Just the only atonement is giving up life. Chakravarti Thakur writes that, by killing a blasphemer, actually you are doing good to that person. Because of the sin of blaspheming a Vaishnava, he should have gone to hell. But now he'll be relieved. And then he says, Kshatriyas can cut the offender's tongue and kill him. Vaishyas and Shudras, because they are not in a position of doing that, so they should commit suicide. Brahmanas, because they should not commit suicide, so they should block their ears and walk away immediately. So then Sati is saying, I have all the powers and abilities. I can destroy you. I can destroy myself and I can destroy whole universe. Sati is very angry. She's saying, I should have killed you. I have the power and ability. I can destroy this whole universe. But why I'm not doing it, because people will say Shiva killed Daksha through his wife. So that's why I'm not killing you. So in fear of destroying Shiva's fame, I'll not kill you. I will perform the atonement of hearing the criticism myself. And therefore, she says that I shall not maintain this body. This body is received from you, and you have blasphemed Lord Shiva. The best atonement is to give up my life. He says, if somebody eats poisonous food, she says, the best treatment is to vomit it. So, after saying this, now Shiva, Sati responds to another accusation of Daksha. He had said that Lord Shiva does not follow the Vedic rules and rituals. She says that actually Lord Shiva is beyond all these Vedic rituals. Elevated transcendentalists like Lord Shiva, they don't have to follow these rules and regulations. Just as demigods, they travel in space, and the ordinary men, they walk on the land. So you cannot equate these two. They have different rules. Elevated people, they don't have to follow all these Vedic rituals. There are two kinds of activities, pravritti and nivritti. Pravritti means path of attachment, getting engrossed in sense gratification and ultimately getting liberated, detached. And nivritti is giving up all the sense gratification. My husband, my Lord Shiva, he is transcendental to all these two activities. So therefore, he does not have to follow any rules and regulations of the Vedas. And then Daksha, he was thinking that although his daughter was chaste and she was adherent to her husband Shiva, but she was living in the house of a lowly beggar. What Lord Shiva has? He has nothing. He is devoid of all the opulence. Sati says, what opulence you are talking about? The opulence we possess, what is our opulence? Our opulence is our devotion to the Supreme Lord. Our opulence is unattainable by anybody in this world. People who engage in all these sacrifices and all these materialistic needs for their bodily necessities, they cannot even fathom our opulence. We have the opulence of self-realized souls like Kumaras and Narad Muni. They appreciate the opulence which we have because they themselves are self-realized. They can understand our opulence. And then she says that actually, this body is a source of embarrassment because it has come from person like you. You have offended Lord Shiva. And whenever Lord Shiva will call me as Dakshayani, it will be very, very difficult to tolerate. So therefore, now I shall give up my body. So speaking in this way, Sati, she sat in meditation. As you can see in this picture, she sat in meditation and she focused all her mind and consciousness on the Supreme Lord Shiva, her husband. She performed Shat Chakra Yoga, raised her life air from the navel and heart and throat and then center of her eyebrows, and she focused on the fire element which was there in the body of herself, and she burnt herself, meditating on the lotus feet of her husband. As she burnt herself, a great cry arises in the whole sky. There was the uproar. Oh, Lord Sati has departed. What unfortunate situation. How could Daksha do it? It was very astonishing that Daksha was a Prajapati. He was so disrespectful to his chaste daughter that she had to give up her body. Daksha is such a hard-hearted personality. And then when all the followers of Shiva, they saw that Sati is burnt, everybody of them, they attacked Daksha. So when Daksha, he saw that, oh, all these attendants, they are coming to attack me. Bhrigu, he started chanting mantras and he offered oblations in the fire and he created a army of the devatas. They were called as Ribhus. All these devatas, they were so very powerful and they attacked all these associates of Lord Shiva and they could not bear that brunt. They ran away. They went back to the abode of Kailash. So this is the end of the 4th chapter. We'll stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Yantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. If anybody has any questions, they can ask. Who all can come without any invitation? That was said by Sati. Actually, so Sati said that okay, she says that, one can go to the house of the father and sisters, aunts, and relatives. There's some other, in the house of a friend, husband, guru, and father. Even without invitation, one can go. That's what she said. But Lord Shiva said, but if they are angry and if they are not welcoming properly, if they are disturbed in their mind, one should not go. What should be our practical approach to general people who are criticizing ISKCON or devotees if in working environment they are your superior? Leave job, defeating will be out of question. Yeah. So we have to do the needful. Many times, if somebody superior is just speaking some ill words, what we can do is we can just try to make him favorable. See, all these extreme examples are given in the scriptures to tell us the severity of the situation. How severe, how dangerous this Vaishnava aparadh is. And it is our responsibility to, accept and assimilate these principles and try to apply it in our lives as per time, place, and circumstance. Many times these cannot be replicated as it is, because our circumstances may be completely different. So therefore, it is according to our maturity, seeing the situation, we have to respond to the problem. We cannot take extreme steps, because if, after hearing all these descriptions, if somebody behaves in same way, later he'll regret and he will even stop chanting. He will think, all these, I followed all these philosophy, just see now what has happened. I have no job and I'm so very disturbed, I'm not able to chant also. So the main thing is we have to, handle the situation based on our adhikar. How much is our adhikar, how much maturity we have. Based on that, we have to deal with the situations so that we remain peaceful. At the same time, we do not compromise on the Vaishnava principles. And for that, we have to deal this on a day-to-day basis, on a person-to-person basis. And we cannot make a blanket statement in all these cases. So it has to be dealt in a personal way. But the main thing is, the principle is, we have to understand and apply this according to the Desh Kal Patra. And that intelligence will come when we are practicing our daily sadhana in a very, very attentive and strong way. We heard in the first canto that when Arjuna, he brought Ashwatthama, arrested him and brought him back to the camp, Krishna was saying, kill him. Draupadi was saying, please don't kill him, relieve him. Bhima was saying, kill him. Nakula, Sahadeva, Yudhishthir Maharaj was saying, don't kill him. Krishna said, you have to please everyone. So there is a wonderful verse which was spoken. He says, Arjuna sa kyaya harer hardam mathasina manim jahar murdhanyam dujasya sahamurdhajam. So it is described that Arjuna, because he was such a great devotee, he knew the heart of Krishna. Therefore, he could know what to do at a particular moment. So therefore, when we are doing our daily sadhana, daily practice of Krishna consciousness in a proper way, in a very, very sincere and gentle and serious way, then Krishna will give us the intelligence to deal with the situation in a proper way. We should not be dealing with the situation in an unintelligent way, so that later we repent and we regret. Because when we deal with the people in a wrong way, although they may be dealing with us in a wrong way, but if we deal with them in a wrong way, then they will blame us and they'll blame our society. It will bring a bad name. So we have to see the situation, how severe it is, how serious it is. Many times people, they talk about ISKCON and all these topics of Krishna not in a very, very serious way. Many times they speak just to make fun. Here, it is a serious business which is going on. Lord Shiva is very serious. So therefore, we have to understand the seriousness of the situation and deal with the situation accordingly. Like that. Okay, anybody has any other questions? Okay, so we'll stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.